Well, Peter, you might be the first person on this planet that has ever shut me up for this long. Good old Heraclitus, I tell you, that wild and crazy guy.
If I came to you and I gave you $10,000 for 20% of the company,
deal.
Yeah.
So, is that a verbal?
Younger than us, sorry to say, Joseph.
What, younger than 20?
Joe, we're just trying to help you because clearly you've lost control of the conversation.
I never, you know what, with all due respect, I never had control of the situation. Doesn't mean I'm gone. What doesn't kill me makes you stronger.
Look at you! You are insane.
How did I do that?
You're insane. You're insane.
Well, hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to Corona TV. How the hell are you? How was your week? Hopefully, it was a good week. It was a crazy week. For me, the 1 year anniversary, March 11th, I was in South Africa, boarding a plane, coming back to the reality that my wife had COVID. The schools had just been shut down on March 11th, a full year ago. And on March 11th, this March 11th, I actually received my first vaccine. It was yesterday. Happy Vaccine Day to me. And I wanted to share not only that with you, but the fact that I want you to know how I'm feeling. I'm feeling a little wobbly. No, I'm feeling fine. A little bit of a dull headache. Tried some CBD cream on the area last night. Apparently, I was meant to put pea-sized. I think I did soccer ball sized, and it felt like Tiger Balm icy hot, which was a gross feeling. So I just rubbed it all off. But I'm feeling fine. And I will continue to share whatever symptoms I have or don't have. But right now, I'm on my way towards the second, and I'm excited. And I hope that you all receive your vaccines very, very soon. And we are all hugging and kissing each other in the most and in only an appropriate way, but in the most appropriate way imaginable. It's coming soon, and it's something to look forward to. If the show is about hope, positivity, and optimism, then it's coming in big doses. I want to give you guys a quick update as well on the Jaffe coin, on my cryptocurrency. One thing that's kind of interesting is that I've actually had to update the numbers based on the coin, because the whole idea is you're buying into the Jaffe economy. This is a community-led initiative, and so the value derived from participating in the economy and being rewarded as such changes. And that's the way to think about it. And so I've adjusted these, and quite frankly, somebody sends me one Jaffe coin, which I don't even know what that's worth, 48 cents, something like that. You'll get a shout out on the show, and there are different ways for you to participate. One of the things that I did last week is I actually had I called it 30 for 30. So for $30, you could get 30 minutes with me for mentoring, coaching, strategic advisory, brainstorming, just hanging out, whatever, even just to say thank you. I sold both of them. And so now what I'm doing is every time I do that, I'm going to increase the price by $10. Not because necessarily I want to make money on this. Clearly, 30 minutes of my time is worth more than $40. But there is a deep discount in terms of being a first mover. And that's the point that I want to draw and drive home. That this isn't really about $40 for 30 minutes. It's about the ability to participate early on and to experiment and to be able to derive new value exchange from a different marketplace and different guidelines and guardrails associated with that marketplace. So if you do want 30 minutes with me, this is not a sales pitch. It's probably worth my while for you not to do this. But for the most part, all you got to do is go to my Linktree, and that's how you can do it, and participate in what I believe is the creator economy and the ability to monetize as such. So that's all I wanted to basically let you know. I'm going to bring on my guests in about 1 minute. But first, just to tell you who's coming on next week. Michael Pederano, Sharon Vindereen, Sandra D. Robinson, Tricia's probably recognizing a few names there, and Daniel Gutierrez, all coming onto the show, spreading a little bit of the C-suite love for the most part, and then one more community show on Friday. So cannot wait for you guys to join. Cannot wait for you to participate. But now, without further ado, the one, the only, Mr. David Armano. Hello, David.
Wait, did you just casually drop that you're experiencing COVID symptoms? I want to make sure that I'm following that.
No, I had the vaccine. So
you had the vaccine. Oh, got it. You had that vaccine and you're just having it. Yes, that's definitely, well, good for you. Congratulations, by the way. I mean, having gotten COVID, gotten the COVID pneumonia, and then.
No, I know. You did, right? I mean, yeah, I remember.
Did, yes, I did it literally New Year's Day. January 1st, I'm like, 2021, it's going to be a new year. It's been a crazy 2020. I was actually doing a conference with our mutual friend, Scott Monty, and I'm feeling a tickle in my throat. It was the day of the symptoms started.
Well, I will tell you one thing that happened, and as I bring on Cristina DiGiacomo, and as I bring on Mr. Bryan Kramer, and as I bring on Tricia Benn, now we're all together. What was interesting, hello everybody, first of all.
Hello.
So what I was going to say is as I drove in, it was a drive-in. They said, we know this is a little backwards, but would you like a COVID test after you get your vaccine? And I'm like, and they said it's free. And I'm like, well, then I'll take two. So I had a COVID test, and I guess I'll get the results back. Wouldn't that be interesting and ironic if they said, you got the
antibodies?
We'll know soon enough.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's possible. Some people have been asymptomatic. It's possible.
So as I said, we will know soon enough. But I am thrilled that you guys are here with me. You are now my co-hosts. So I've given you the green bean. You're co-moderators using the Clubhouse analogy. So let's get on with the show. Today is National Organize Your Home Office Day. So that's our little icebreaker. Tell us about your home offices, everyone, because our home office is our work office now, is it not? Are we in your home offices right now, Cristina?
Yeah, and actually right behind me is my DJ booth. So the wall in the back is soundproofing panel, and you might be able to see some speakers here, and there's a DJ booth right behind me. I do have a desk somewhere in another room, but I really like to do calls and meetings in this room. It's just so lively and fun. And so my home office has a DJ booth.
Well, we have to go from DJ to rock star, because Armano's got guitar in the background. Are we in your home office right now, or we're just in a room?
We're in a home office. I'm in a condo in a 12-story building, so there's a lot of light that comes in, and then I have a nook. That's right next to the kitchen, so it's not its own room. It's connected, which has its own challenges. But yeah, I have the gratuitous acoustic guitar, and I'm much more proficient on an electric because you can sound better than you are. I only know like the basic. They're called bar chords, but it's fun. It's a hobby.
So Bryan Kramer, he's not into nooks. He's into nicks. Is that a good little segue into your svelte hairdo? Are we in your home office, by the way? And why don't you tell us about your nick, not your nook?
I love it. Yeah, because I recently accidentally shaved this side of my head, and without the filter. And so then I had to shave the rest of it. I think that's what he's talking about. I actually just moved my desk yesterday away from the other wall. So I'm in a different wall with a whole different view. And I do that every couple months now because I just need a whole new view in the same room at my home office. So I've got a camera here I can show you. So I have a brick wall. Look right there. And usually I'm against that wall, and that's usually what you're seeing. But it's actually a peel and stick from Wayfair. And then I've got a wall over there that's a nice little wall with a chair, and I'll sit there with a camera. And then I have a wall here with a little corner with my little HH sign. And so I get ADHD and I move my desk into each corner every couple months, depending upon where I'm at. And so that's my little home office ADHD move around.
Well, I've just put up my little faux wall in the background, and I've just got to put a few little finishing touches to the wall because, as you can see, it needs a little bit of a paint job, and so we have a nice little slider that allows us to be able to determine exactly where. We got a little bit of where's that CBD cream. I think we might have to just keep it like that for now, for want of.
You've got something right here.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Any holy experiences? Yeah, I can adjust it. Let's see. Yeah, we're looking good. We're just dealing with the shine.
Very sharp, Joseph.
It is the corona of light, of hope, positivity, and optimism, which segues beautifully into Tricia, Benn. You are the epitome of all three. Are we in your home office right now or your studio?
Joseph, we are in my home office, and I am absolutely of the belief that we have to make every day the best day ever. So my latest thing is I got one of those desktops because I have a big old estate desk. So an estate near where I live, the lady of the household had this incredible desk. I mean, I could fit 4 people working around this desk, and the credenza behind me was hers as well. And so I just absolutely love it. I've got all my screens set up and everything, and space, and I move my room around all the time as well. But this desk it's a lot of work to move this desk. So the latest thing that I've done is I've got a desktop, so I can stand up and I can move around, and it's amazing how freeing that is since we've been traveling so little over the last year. So, and I have a sunlight. The reason it's bright here and I'm constantly playing with my light for all the events that I host is because I have a sunlight here, so that, you know, we need sunlight, and not traveling means you're not outside as much. And so I find that's incredibly helpful as well.
Well, thank you for everyone for giving us a little idea of what your home office looks like. David Libby says happy Friday. Tom Morris says happy Friday. The wonderful Ann Janza, who's actually going to be on the show next Friday, said congrats on that first vaccine. You're an essential worker. Well, I feel the same way about you, Ann. Happy Friday to Mr. Stephen Rubin. And Tom adds, I've never heard of someone accidentally shaving a whole side of their head. It's like when we discovered a 12-foot magic marker line down the wall next to stairs, and our son said it slipped. The wall, the magic marker, or his son, we're not sure. But we only have one more thing to do, and then we're going to get straight into Mr. David Armano and his 5 minutes, his pearls of wisdom. Because you guys are my co-hosts, we have to wish people happy birthday. So if you see anyone there that you know, shout out a happy birthday. I see my cousin Bruce Brieger is there, Danny Fishman, Dean Harris, the Red Sox gnome. Remember that, Armano, from South by Southwest?
I do, yeah, oldie but goodie.
And exactly, Angelina Eng. And then on LinkedIn, Dana Benz from StreamYard is over there. She's been amazing, given incredible service and customer experience. Happy birthday to everyone, whether you are stuck at home or stuck in general. Our job is to help you become unstuck. And we're going to begin with David Armano kicking us off. I take my trusty handy-dandy egg timer, which nobody actually follows, including myself. Armano, your 5 minutes begins now.
Oh, I love it. This is so Andy Warhol. So look, perfect. What I'm going to talk about is actually perfectly timed with the theme of the show in terms of human versus technology in a way. as fate would have it, before I got COVID, like right before I got COVID, I started playing around with Substack, which is subscription based. It's sort of blogging reinvented, and then you can build up an email subscription. And some of the journalists out there have actually been monetizing directly through it, which is another theme that we'll get into. And so whenever you start a new channel, you have to think about, what am I going to say? How does it match me and who I am and all those things? So I came up with the idea of calling it David by Design, as a homage to sort of how I started my career as a designer. I still feel like at the core, I apply design to everything I do, especially as a strategist as well, and as a someone who does advisory and works at a pretty senior level. Like, I take a design approach to it that I think is a bit unique. So, and then when I wanted to choose the visual, I chose the statue of David, which is obviously Michelangelo in the Renaissance. So the reason why I bring up that story is that kind of segues me to what I wrote about not too long ago, Joseph, and I shared it with you, which is this sort of, I'm seeing parallels in a way. There's a cliche that history repeats. And I actually think that we're in this moment of time that I'm referring to as a digital renaissance. And the irony of that is, and I don't think it's by accident, is that the original Renaissance was born of, if you know your history, the bubonic plague. Yeah. So it rose from the ashes of this, this massive plague in Europe, and then and obviously there was an explosion initially with the arts and sciences. And so, what is today's science? It's technology. And then what is today's art? Well, I'm sure we're going to be talking about NFTs, right? And what's been going on in that space. And there's this whole explosion in how we're discussing value and the value of art and collecting and sort of now assigning value. And Joseph, I know you're playing around with tokens. So I broke the Renaissance down, this digital Renaissance down, into 3 areas that I think you're really seeing just so much of an accelerated trajectory of development in. So one is social audio, which, Joseph, I know you're doing a ton in that space. And what's so amazing about the social audio space, whether it's what Twitter is doing or Clubhouse is doing or Mark Cuban's Fireside, is it's tapping into a very powerful human emotion, which is connected to Zoom fatigue. I mean, this is great, but we can only do so much video and audio and live audio specifically, because Joseph, you're a veteran podcaster, right? But as you know, because you've immersed yourself in this social audio space, that when we talk about social audio, the delineation is it's all the things of audio. It's portable, takes you away from video. So Zoom fatigue, it takes that out of the equation, but it's live, and it can go in your pocket and kind of go with you, right? And so there's a lot to unpack there. You get the dynamicism of the live audience and all the benefits of audio. So that's big. The second is all things tokens. So all things NFT, all things crypto, all things, Joseph, you're doing the Jaffe coin. Currency is being redefined. And so in real time, and it's huge, and it's what everyone's talking about in addition to things like social audio. So these are innovations and that are happening in front of us. This is part of that renaissance. The third is subscriptions, right? We're just seeing these direct to subscription model. Again, whether that is what I just mentioned earlier, that Substack from a text perspective, that could be OnlyFans. I mean, the idea that you're going to see Twitter actually come out with subscription type services and being able to monetize tweets. So it's that almost like direct to audience or direct to community. So there's a new DTC. I literally just thought about this only now. It's not just direct to consumer, there's direct to community. And there's also direct to audiences as everyone's rebuilding their audiences. So from my perspective, I'll bring it back to the idea of a renaissance. It feels like a renaissance. It feels like an explosion of art, of science, and it is human driven. The original Renaissance actually really, it got people to think about, prior to the Renaissance and the Middle Ages, everything was religion based, because religion was everything. It was science, it was art, it was politics. The Renaissance came along, and then all of a sudden that organized predominant structure of religion, now all of a sudden humanity began to sort of reinvent itself and sort of get on parity in a way with religion. And so I don't know exactly what that shift is right now, but I do think that these advancements in technology, we have to remember that they're not just technology advancements, they're human powered advancements that are enabled by technology. And so that, my friend, would be the 5 minutes of the digital renaissance.
That was really, first of all, I could see as you basically said the term, you were like, maybe I should just keep it and work on it a little bit. But I'm now going to say this with full attribution is you, Armano, DTC, the new DTC, direct to community. Make sure that when you use it, you credit David Armano. Otherwise,
born on the Jaffe Juice show.
With our watermarks and our NFTs, we're coming for you. This was great. We have a couple minutes before we move into another example of history repeating itself. But who wants to jump in and respond to what Armano just said?
As soon as you use the word community, Joseph, that is the top of my list. I wrote it down immediately. David, I love that. And direct to community addresses the biggest challenge that we're so excited about in the C-suite, which is that trusted environment. In a digital and virtual world, who do we trust? And the community is absolutely the magic of how that happens. So I love how you are looking through those business models. I love the direct to community. It's really powerful.
I also just want to add that you've been credit where it's due. Logic and emotion stood the test of time, and now David by Design is like it's the next chapter in your story and your journey. And you're always you're very considered, and you really take so much time and put so much care into the power of words and clearly the power of design. So we're excited. Your community is excited to support you as you move on to this next iteration.
I appreciate that. My favorite definition of design is it is an acts of intentionality. So when you do something by design, there's nothing random about it. And I chose David by Design, again, homage to sort of how I started my journey, but also I am literally redesigning my life. I mean, Joseph, when I was last on the show, I had just been caught up in COVID, like employment reduction. So 11 years at a very stable job and a very stable company gone. And since then, I have had so many transformations. I mean, I've created an LLC. I have taken on contracts. First time in my career that I've ever been forced out versus, okay, I'm done, on to the next thing. So that was a new experience for me. And then I postponed a wedding. I tweeted something about this recently, but I've had so many moments. And even in the next chapter, I'm probably moving us out of Chicago. Like I'm already looking at, we'll end up in a smaller city where I can take expenses down and like redesign my life around a lower cost lifestyle. Because even if I'm making good money, it's about like the next 10 years. And from a career perspective, same thing. I've been putting so much reflection into, again, 20 years in the agency space. That is probably not going to be my next move. I even spent 4 months at a SaaS-based technology company, and it's doubtful that I'm going to continue in the agency space moving forward.
Well, you'll always have an outlet here on Corona TV to tell your story and connect with the community. David Libby says, get that into Wikipedia now. DTC, direct to community. But David,
I'll write about it.
You spoke about this idea of history repeating itself. On Monday, the CoronaByte belongs to the wonderful Carla Johnson, who is back actually as a dedicated guest for the second time. She just published a book called Rethink Innovation, and we just had to discuss that Burger King tweet.
Humans make mistakes, but truly compassionate and empathetic humans admit it when they do, and they do actively learn from their mistakes, and they make a change. What they also need to do is to actually listen to their audience and understand why it was so tone deaf, and then make those necessary changes, whether it's on their staff, their agency partners, or whoever it is. Now, this is something that Antonio Lucio, I thought, did a tremendous job at when he was at HP, having this diversity of the agencies who provided services to the company, and to look at rebalancing, the gender and diversity roles within his organization, because when you bring people in with these different experiences, backgrounds, points of view, you are significantly less likely to make these incredible kind of missteps like Burger King just did.
And props for the parakeet in the background making a cameo. Cristina DiGiacomo, you've been one of the truly brightest spots and part of this journey. Your 5 minutes begins now.
Thank you, Joe. Hi, everyone. So I'm coming here today with a question I can't answer. I have been contemplating this for quite some time, and then I just thought, oh, well, let me just share it with Joe's group. Maybe they can help. So a couple of years ago, I was TAing a philosophy class, and the topic for the entire term was about happiness. So all of the different philosophies and thinking around what happiness means. And in one class, one day, there was a student who really believed, her opinion was that emotions or happiness was just a bunch of chemicals firing off. And she was pretty adamant about her opinion. She said, well, I've read studies and articles and the science around happiness, and, it's really just a neural response. And as the TA, my job is to observe the class. And most of the class looked visibly unhappy about this idea that she was proposing. And some people got pretty vocal about it. One student said, if I'm just a bunch of chemicals firing off, what is the point of living? And the teacher was being very respectful and was saying, yes, absolutely, something physiological happens, something psychological happens. But the reaction of everyone around this idea that we're just these neural reactions was distasteful. And so I thought to myself at that time, like, whoa, what is happening here? What is happening to happiness? And since that experience, I've been seeing sort of a prevailing narrative around the science of happiness. And I'm questioning, is the science of happiness taking the happiness out of happiness? Or the science of motivation, the science of meditation, the science of mindfulness, the sciencing of our emotions. And I'm just considering, what is the effect of this on people? On the one hand, science is amazing and it brings us closer and provides us proof to these really, and embracing these really good notions. But on the other hand, I wonder, is it removing our sense of awe and wonder about finding meaning in our lives? And so I'll end sort of my inquiry with this quote that I feel gives me some reconciliation about this idea. And it's from a German physicist who was born in 1939, Fritjof Capra, who said, the mystic and the physicist arrive at the same conclusion, one starting from the inner realm, the other from the outer world. The harmony between their views confirms ancient wisdom, that the ultimate reality without is identical to the reality within. So this question of the sciencing of our emotions is something that I've been really kind of grappling with, and its effects on people, on understanding who they are in their pursuit and the meaning of life. And so now I just want to turn this inquiry over to wiser minds for discussion.
Bryan Kramer, it sounds like a question for you.
It's such a it's fascinating. The quote, I'd love for you to read the quote. Could you read the quote one more time?
Yes, absolutely. Happy to.
It was so powerful.
Yes. Okay. Again, from a physicist. The mystic and the physicist arrive at the same conclusion. One starting from the inner realm, being the mystic, the other from the outer world, the physicist. The harmony between their views confirms ancient wisdom that the ultimate reality without the outer world is identical to the reality within.
Wow.
This is heavy stuff for a Friday. I mean, this show should have been on Wednesday, maybe. Like, our brains were not yet on vacation and just peaking for the week.
I can jump in, Joseph. I mean, my degrees are in sociology and anthropology. And Cristina, I just absolutely love how you're processing and thinking through, what does this all mean? And there is the chemical, and then there is the emotional, and the juxtaposition of those two, the mystic and the physicist, is just fantastic. I love it, love it, love it. Personally, I'm very skeptical of the concept of happiness. I think it's nebulous. I think it's actually nonsense. I think purpose, meaning, and fulfillment are the keys to our existence, and both of those live in both worlds equally. So, when there's an argument between those two, my positioning. I do not accept disrespect. I love the pursuit of the thinking because it helps us banter back and forth to get to something that is meaningful, purposeful, and something that we can feel fulfillment in achieving something against. So I land in the strength of what both are. Yeah. And I would repurpose away from the concept of happiness because I don't think it's real.
I agree, Tricia. And the thing about purpose is we can search for purpose. We can't search for happiness, because we can get into happiness immediately, but we can't get into purpose immediately. We have to. Purpose is something that you look into. It brings meaning. Purpose brings meaning, and when we create purpose and we're on purpose, then we find it. We can then live into it, and we can live into it for the rest of our lives. And then that can bring happiness, and we can bring it the rest of our lives. And quite frankly, we can live in unhappiness the rest of our lives because we don't live in purpose. Yeah. It works the other way around too. So I would imagine David moving to a house outside of the city would be on purpose for him and bring immense happiness. It doesn't mean that having lots of money and being on purpose and living in a city would bring immense happiness. It's this dichotomy of where do you want to live in life?
And is it happiness or fulfillment? Because I think happiness is fleeting.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Aligns with your intent.
It's purpose. It's the purpose statement that makes that whole thing create what it is that we want in life.
David, did you want to add something very?
Yeah, I was just going to say I love the quote because it shows a mutual respect for the two things, right? And so, Joseph, you mentioned my blog from back in the day, Logic Plus Emotion. This is the same discussion. So, a logical person, a person who's wired to more, with, let's say, a scientist's brain, they are going to look to break things down by science. They're not wrong. Yeah, and someone who is more of a, leads with more feeling or leads with more sort of the emotional impact, they're gonna break things down from how you feel, the opposite way. We have to have respect for both, right? Because, a scientist can look and say something like they can actually do studies and they can show how if you're taking a drug, how your brain is going to have a neural reaction that imitates happiness, but the chemical reaction isn't, like what you would get from a natural derivation of happiness. The synapses will fire off differently. It's artificial, and they can break that down. And then someone who maybe doesn't fully understand the science can say, yeah, substances are bad for you because they're going to do X, Y, and Z to your life. But one thing that I'm concerned about is we are losing that mutual respect, like what Cristina said about the class getting offended. That makes me nervous, because I sit in the middle and I have mutual respect, and sometimes I could lean more one way or the other, but it makes me nervous when I see that we lose the respect and we can't understand the other language, because both are true. We need both.
I love that. And I'd be curious, Joseph, to put a question to Cristina to say, if there was excellent moderation of that conversation, there would have been a circle back to the value of each of the perspectives. And
you can ask the question. She's not going to answer it because it's time to move on. And
Thank you, everyone.
I am going to hammer down on this, because we have a bonus, though, which is a Clubhouse after show where I have a feeling we're going to be discussing this feeling in depth. So thank you, everyone. Wonderful, wonderful thoughts. I have some thoughts as well, but you'll hear them in Clubhouse. It's time to get to our second CoronaByte. From philosopher to philosopher to philosopher, Keith Reynold Jennings was here on Tuesday, and he said, often in life, it's not about choosing between right and wrong, but choosing between two rights.
We're rarely facing right versus wrong decisions in our lives. I mean, when we are, those are pretty easy, hopefully, to kind of distinguish. You say, well, what's the right thing to do? Well, we should do that. In most of our life circumstances, we're facing two rights. We're facing two situations that have pros and cons that come with them. So we always say the question we should ask is, what's the wise thing to do? So meaning, when I think about 5 or 10 years from now, and I look back on, this time and the decisions we made, what will be the decision we'll be most proud that we made? And that's the wise thing to do. And so that's kind of how our values kind of feed into our principles, and those principles guide our plan, our processes, and the way we do business.
Forget about what's the wise thing to do. What's the human thing to do? Mr. Bryan Kramer, your 5 minutes starts now.
All right. So I have to start a clock here on my end, so I know that I'm not going to overtalk, because I will. I am so passionate about this whole topic that we're all talking about, which is human. And where does that fit in society? I think, are each touching on that. This stands for human to human, and everything that is embedded in me is just so fascinated with what and how and when and why we create what exists in society, especially today, around human to human communication. We've seen advances over the last just 5 years. Social media is not that new. Think about it. It's actually not that new. It's been here for not that long. And I'll take you back to a time when there was just ads. There was just newspaper, radio, and TV. And that was the only three methods that companies could speak outward to our audience. And the communication was one direction, and we didn't have a voice. And that voice was from the company to the community, or to us, the consumer. It has changed, and it changed when social media changed. And I want to bring that up because we now consider that table stakes. We forgot in just a period of 10 years that this is a changed value, that we consider this table stakes in everything that we do. Now, what's changed about this, and what's going to change even further and has changed today, is now we're looking at things that we consider even more maybe even more table stakes-ish, if you will, which is augmented reality. It's not even here yet. We're already considering it here. Artificial intelligence. It's not really here yet. We're already considering it here. We've got robots or automation and sequences and bots on Messenger. And we've got all these different technologies that are out that are automating these things. And we're trying to do these things that are making our lives easier. But I propose to all of us, are we making our lives easier? Or are we actually standing out as humans? And so I want to set forward in a discussion, a question of, are we standing out as humans? And what does that mean for society moving forward as we define what that means for humanity? Because I believe that businesses do not have emotion, people do. People want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. People want to feel something. People want to be included. People want to understand. People are also humans. And with that comes mistakes and missteps and failures. And as humans, it's in our nature to say the wrong thing and get embarrassed and not realize the consequences of our actions. And the rise of social media has given us a digital platform to like this dark side of anonymity, both as individuals and in crowds, as we speak volumes towards something that we can hide amongst. I say it's time to lay down the pitchforks and the virtual pitchforks and torches and bring this behavior back into balance. And also the delightful side of humanity, holding with it this beautiful human emotion of empathy and understanding and forgiveness. When we remember our own communication and what ties us all together as a common group. And communication shouldn't be complicated. It should be genuine and simple with the humility and understanding that we are all multidimensional humans. Every one of us, which has spent time in both of those dark and those delightful parts. Each one of us here in each of these screens, we've each been there. We know that. That's human to human. And that's where I propose to each of us this one simple thing, this one thing that I think we all need to consider as we move forward. And I ask you, do you believe that this is the thing that we should do? And how do we go about doing that? Which is that being human is our competitive advantage.
There is so much awesomeness to unpack there. And, you know, and in a way, there are so many of these beautiful themes interweaving. What's old is new again, balance, outward meets inward, bridges, broken records, history repeating itself. One of the things that strikes me, and it's actually, I'm going to play the CoronaByte on Wednesday because it is so relevant. I had Mahesh Vellanki, who's the co-founder of Rally. They're the company behind these creator coins. And I was actually like talking to him about dilution, right? What happens if everyone has a creator coin? And this idea of competitiveness. What is your coin versus my coin, etc. And what it struck me, and you'll see this from the clip, is the world that was based on scarcity, which is really the world of media, the world maybe pre-COVID, is different to the world that is built and based on abundance. And that abundance is inherently human. Kindness, generosity, flame, this ability, selflessness. There is no limit on all of that. So I want to play that to you, and then we can go back to your beautiful words. Abundance beats scarcity, but the other part of it is the competitive aspect, which is, wait a second, if now everyone can get themselves a creator coin, does that not dilute the exclusivity?
It absolutely doesn't, because Rally is itself not a social network. It is not a place where yeah, I come in as a fan and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm only going to buy one creator coin today. Which one's it going to be? Rather, it's the opposite. Rally's not meant to be that at all. It's meant to be your own custom branded currency. Like, imagine that the Rally.io website doesn't even exist, which is potentially a future that might happen. And all this stuff just lives on your own websites and in other third-party websites. It's really about your own fans. It's all additive with more creators, because it makes the Rally project more visible and makes it the prospect of being a Rally token holder more exciting.
Notice what he said. He said we're not a social network. So look at what we're pushing off against. It is the social network that is decidedly built on the wrong principles, unhuman principles. By the way, Stephen says,
Joseph, could it be direct to community currency?
Well, I'll tell you what there is. Are you, Bryan? Are you ready to make the announcement? We have breaking news.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Actually, you just showed that clip of him and Rally, and they just approved me, or not just approved, like they just went live 15 minutes ago, and I now am the owner of the human coin. So I'm really excited to announce that today on Clubhouse with Jeremiah and everybody. So I'm excited.
I will be there at 3 as well. And but before I do that, I will be sending some Jaffe coin to you. I'm very proud. I will be very proud to display human coin in my portfolio. Yeah. But that's amazing. It just proves the point, right? Which is instead of like, can't believe Bryan got human. It's almost like it's the joy of being able to say, welcome to this new world order that is based on abundance. So fantastic. Welcome. Well, I'll be there to support you.
Thank you.
Tricia, are you ready to bring us home with your 5 minutes?
Absolutely. Thank you, Joseph. I love these Fridays, and every time I get a chance to speak with Joseph or celebrate what Joseph is doing and bringing us together to be thoughtful and appreciate what each of us is bringing to the table, I just absolutely love to. Speaking of abundance, humanity, and really truly creating success and understanding with each other. So today I assumed it would be a wonderful day to just pay homage to International Women's Day being this week. And International Women's Day, it's all about celebrating the progress that women have made. And certainly for women, immediately we think to the right to vote, the right to own our own property and money and not be property. All of those firsts that happen in terms of creating businesses and so on. Now we're at about 40% of businesses being owned by women. There's some really tremendous progress. Just a quick question. Do you know that there's also an International Men's Day? It's in November, so we'll be celebrating International Men's Day as well. But what it does do is, I think, have us all really take a pause and reflect on those who came before us, right? Male, female, and any other thing that makes us unique and makes us part of a community, those that came before us. So certainly, I think we have to look to the fact that they've inspired us, they've motivated us, they've educated us, and they've taught us, if we're in the business community, how to monetize against great ideas, great concepts, in great collaboration with great people. And the mission that I'm on, and Cristina, I'm so grateful for you to raise the question about happiness. I said I'm skeptical of the term happiness because it is fleeting. It's something that can be bought and last for 1 second. When you look at purpose, meaning, fulfillment, all of those that came before us really led the way, innovated, and pulled us up. Those people, they had purpose, they had meaning, and they had fulfillment in seeing that purpose fulfilled, right? In seeing that purpose happen, in the change happen. So my question for everyone today is to really think to what are each of us doing in terms of what is our meaning, what is our purpose, and where are we taking fulfillment in what we're doing? And really just give that credit not only to those who came before us and inspire us, educate us, and help us to understand how to monetize around great models and great purpose and meaning, but also give ourselves that credit because we're on that mission every day. So that's what I wanted to put forward. Have we patted ourselves on the back? It's Friday. It's time to celebrate together, acknowledge and appreciate, and then also give that to ourselves.
Well, I just wanted to say it used to be that International Men's Day was 364 days of the year, and then one day was for women. But times, they are a-changing. I think Brian, David, and I were like shocked. We're like, we don't want one. We're good. We're good. Thanks. We'll give it back to you. We'll give you an extra day in November. You know, we've had enough. Thanks. But yeah, I mean, it's great what you say, and you always I love you being the closer because you kind of connect all the dots. Again, it makes me think of Julia McCoy, who was my guest yesterday. For the first 21 years of her life, she lived in a cult. She explained how beatings and oppression and a narcissistic father and part of this religious order. And the craziest part of her story is the one thing that her family and this cult didn't, underestimated was the power of the internet. So they let her use the internet because they didn't actually understand what it was. And it was through that she was able to study and monetize her content and earn a living and buy a car and eventually escape. And I asked her this question, which is, do you believe things happen for a reason in this particular case? We spoke about everything, but she's going to answer that question and then introduce yet one more ingredient to put together in this beautiful human recipe. That sounded wrong, but you know what I mean. Here's the CoronaByte. We're not cannibals. Do you look back at 21 years, it happened for a reason?
My better judgment is like, this definitely did happen for a reason. I don't think I would be where I am today if I grew up in a normal life. I was driven really early to seek my passion, and that became so important to me. It was more important than life. And this environment of trauma, pushed me towards that. I sought out my passion really early in life. And then I acted without self-doubt because it was literally, I had nothing to lose chasing my passion.
And I think the message is find your passion, preferably without the help of a cult. But the reality is, whether it's adversity or whether it's, quite frankly, privilege, we don't choose whether we're born into privilege or adversity, but we can choose to pursue our passion and embrace that and use it for good. So I just wanted to add a few more pieces of the puzzle and turn it over to you guys. Thoughts, reflections to bring us home, and then we'll get into our Corona question, which is perfectly aligned with everything we've discussed today.
I feel like I just met and connected with some awesome people today that I haven't. David and I have kind of run around in peripheral circles, and I haven't had a chance to really connect with them. And Tricia and Cristina, I'm so happy to have met you. Whether it's through purpose or happiness, I don't care. I'm happy to have met you. So this has just been, Joseph, you're lighting up connections and community everywhere you go, and I just can't thank you enough for that. Whether people are watching on the outside or on the inside, you're doing some great work, and I'm just happy to be here. So that's how I kind of wanted to end up and just say thank you. I'm grateful.
You're so welcome. And one of the reasons why I started these community shows was just because I looked back and I said, well, wait a second, 220 plus guests. This cannot be a one and done. Relationships are not like that. That's not what human to human is about. It's not a world of one-off transactions. It's a world of an expanding, direct to community, but expanding relationships. And that truly is limitless. So I'm going to ask you guys, we might even finish on time because I just think this conversation it's been perfect. It's been succinct. But before I bring the Corona question into your frame, which is, what is the thing that you just can't stop doing? What is the one thing that if you took that away from you, you would cease to operate, cease to be? What is that thing that powers you and powers your being? Does anyone want to just add anything to the conversation? Because obviously we're going to move into Clubhouse and continues some of these themes?
For me, it's reading. For me,
let's
for me,
do
it's reading, studying, having my books, my philosophy books. Like, I just can't even imagine them being gone.
Well, we're not going to take them away.
Okay.
What about you, Bryan?
I can't stop. I can't stop being with people, good people. That would be like sucking the air out for me. While I need my alone time, I'm an ambivert. So and this last year proved to me that I need both. But I also need people, and not in the weird, strange way, just that kind of heartfelt, connected way. And that means a lot to me. So this kind of time, this right here, this kind of time. So that's why this kind of stuff means a lot. And yeah, so I'll leave it at that.
Perfect. And we spent a good hour together. I think it was a week ago doing your show as well, which was a highlight for me. Mr.
Right.
David Armano, what is the thing that you just cannot stop doing?
I want to offer two things super quickly, and Joseph, then I want to segue into something about you, if that's okay. So for me, it's my inner circle. I need my inner circle. I need those relationships to be intact. It's my family. It's my friends. And that inner circle is actually a pretty big one. And then I think it's also just growth. It's personal development and growth. I think when I'm removed with the opportunity to become better, that's very difficult for me. And then Joseph, I just want to end. I'll make it quick, but you have a gift. I mean, the fact that you and I know you do this on a daily basis, and today is no exception. But you brought together someone who is deeply immersed in philosophy, someone who is immersed in sociology, the architect of human to human, and then a strategist who thinks like a designer. And wow, what a complementary and interesting mix of perspectives to center around focusing on the human factor versus chasing technology or the latest shiny object. So I want to sincerely acknowledge your gift because it's special, and I just want to articulate that and verbalize it.
Well, thank you. I mean, I will say, learning to take a compliment has never been something that I've been comfortable with. But the most powerful words, two powerful words, are thank you, and it's important to be able to say that, because when someone gives you a compliment, they are giving of themselves. So I will say, Tom Morris said, watching Joseph host is like long ago watching Stevie Ray Vaughan play guitar. We can just applaud. Wow, I mean, that is another
great guitar player.
Yeah, I will say one thing. I will give the compliment right back, and not gratuitously, simply because I will say that in some respects you guys book randomly, and in other cases I do a little bit of manipulation and puppeteering. But what I've learned is it is diversity of thought. It is diversity on every single level, and randomness and serendipity, and you put them all together, and that is the magic, and that is the melting pot that brings joy, not happiness, but joy. And in many respects, I know we're going to go to Clubhouse now. It's happening in Clubhouse. That really is happening in Clubhouse, where the most random people come up to stage. They are so random, and you just embrace it. You embrace it because that's what you've bought into. You've bought into the beautiful, serendipitous randomness that is life. So thank you, Armano. And I want to make sure that we don't. Who didn't say what they couldn't stop doing? I know, Tricia, you get to bring us home again.
There we go. So for me, it is truly being on the mission that I'm on. And I'm grateful every single day. I mean, I have my conditions of satisfaction. We're true believers in the C-suite network. What are your conditions of satisfaction? You can't guarantee that your life will be balanced. Every day is different in some way or another. And we have all different aspects of our life. So I definitely have my conditions of satisfaction, meaningful conversations, all those kinds of things. But the biggest piece is just the mission and purpose, and so I'm so grateful to be leading the C-suite network community and business, because you can have a great community, but if you don't have a great business model to sustain it, it can't be done. And really that purpose of being able to support, Joseph, you're one of our TV hosts and podcasters, and Cristina, you're one of our faculty, our leaders across C-suite network. The ability to be on a mission to just really be able to support and elevate not just absolutely phenomenal leaders that I get to interact with every day, but truly changing the face of what business looks like, how people think about what great leadership is, that sustainable business models mean we can have sustainable impact in our communities, that's the measure of a successful business, the true measure of real success, real growth, not numbers on a ledger looking like growth, but real significant growth and real impact. Oh, if you took that away from me, I would, that would be crushing to me.
Well, we're not going to take anything away from you. We're about to jump into Clubhouse and continue the conversation. This was the best. This was special. I mean, this was beyond special, and I really do hope people go back and watch this again. I know I will. Mr. David Armano, guest number 50, strategic marketer, communicator, and digital brand builder, and all around nice guy. Actually, you're all nice, so I'm not even going to say that. Cristina DiGiacomo, guest number 184, practical philosopher. You're practical, you're tactical, you're pragmatic, you're awesome. Mr. Bryan Kramer, guest number 80, on Corona TV, proud father of Human to Human, owner of the Human Creator Coin, virtual speaker, CEO, and TED Talker. And finally, guest number 157, Tricia Benn, Chief Community Officer and Partner, C-Suite Network, and General Manager, heroine of the Hero Club. Thank you guys for coming in. We'll see you in Clubhouse. And as you know, the final word always goes to Mr. Chuck Norris.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
I will see you guys in Clubhouse. Take care, everyone, and see you on Monday. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Corona TV with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. Corona TV is the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show at coronatv.show. And if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, text Corona TV to 66866 or visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.